let's be realistic about this. Do we think this is about getting an accurate view of the census and protecting voting rights, or is it to, in fact, suppress minority voting? This is an administration that has consistently tried to suppress voting rights.
Civil rights groups slamming the move, saying it could significantly reduce responses from immigrants fearful of deportation.
Adding the question could scare off undocumented immigrants from participating, potentially throwing off federal funding.
Critics say this is about intimidating immigrants and will result in a population undercount and potentially could lead to lost congressional seats.
What do you say to critics who argue that ultimately this is a way to target immigrants?
The media going haywire over a census question. Now at least 12 states are going to sue to block the Trump administration from asking about citizenship on the 2020 census. Opponents of the moves say the question will keep even legal immigrants from completing the form, which would reduce the population count in Democratic areas of the country. Joining me now is RNC spokesperson Kayleigh McEnany. Kayleigh, welcome to the show. Is this question, it's been deemed as if it's a political question. The left says you're trying to suppress immigrant voters. The right says just exactly the opposite. Is this really something that is being used as a power grab for the administration, or is this simply a question trying to find out who's in our country?
This is trying to find out who's in our country, and liberals are acting insane here. We are simply trying to find out who's here, who's a citizen, who's not. And guess why we are trying to figure that out? Because this census will determine how many representatives each state gets in Congress. You look back to 2010, the states that gained seats were Florida, Arizona, Texas, states that do have heavy illegal immigrant populations. So if these individuals are registering, they appear to be citizens, and they're getting extra representation for that, that cannot happen. We need to have citizens represented in Congress and not illegal immigrants, plain and simple. And
you don't have to answer the question. That's one thing that's not been pointed out a lot of times. You don't have to answer the question except for how many people are in your household when it comes to questions protected by the First Amendment. Fox News' Tucker Carlson got into a very heated debate with an illegal immigrant lawyer. Listen to this.
Do you think the census ought to be allowed to ask people's race?
Well, I think we should have a simple count. That's it.
No.
And maybe no. I think we shouldn't have immigration status. We shouldn't have about race. We shouldn't say, hey, how many people live in your house? That's it. That's what the Constitution requires. It's all about allocation and representation.
What about male or female? Should it ask that? Should it be allowed? Is that unconstitutional too?
Well, I think if a person wants to designate, hey, I'm a male, I'm a female, let them answer that question.
Hold on, but that wasn't the question. The census asks, are you a man or a woman? Are you non-Hispanic white? Are you African American? Are you American Indian? And now it's going to ask, are you a citizen? Only one of those questions bothers you. Not because of the constitutionality of it, but because you think it might dilute the political power of illegal aliens.
Kayleigh, is asking about citizenship different from asking about race?
Not at all. Tucker was spot on here, and he schooled this lawyer quite handedly for a reason, because this lawyer is trying to imbue things upon our Constitution that aren't there. You have a right to ask all of these questions. The government certainly does. These 12 states that are suing, it's a hoax lawsuit. It will not succeed. The Supreme Court will rebuke them, much like they did with the travel pause that was struck down by another liberal judge.
Well, another conservative commentator, Michelle Malkin, says the left wants to use the census as a power grab, as I mentioned earlier. Watch this.
Only in America does a country get sued for asking who's in it. It is complete insanity. Only in America do you have sworn politicians who have taken an oath of office to uphold the laws and constitution of this country out there lambasting the Trump administration for asking a very simple question. What this is about power. More people, more seats. And if you can count illegal aliens as part of that, it's no illegal alien left behind. That's what we're really talking about here.
Kayleigh, if this is indeed a power grab, as Michelle describes it, what happens in the midterms? The president's party, 35 of 38 times since the Civil War, has lost seats in the House. What makes it different this time, or is history going to repeat itself?
Well, I think we're looking quite good for the midterms, but it's important that we make sure that the people who are voting in the midterms are citizens of the United States. And it's important looking 10 years down the road, 6, 8 years down the road, that the number of seats in Congress are determined by the number of citizens in these states. Michelle Malkin was spot on. The man in Iowa, the woman in Missouri, and some of these central states that don't have these influxes of illegal immigrant populations, they are disenfranchised every time a seat is added to California because they are overcounting the number of people that reside in that state.
Kaylee, thank you very much. Now, an entire county is rebelling against California's liberal sanctuary state law. Orange County siding with the Trump administration, vowing to fight back. Next, the mayor of the small California town that started the chain reaction, Los Alamitos mayor. With me now is Troy Edgar.